What it do? How's everybody doing today? A good morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you. Thank you for your patience this morning on Wake Up Call, hanging out where sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful week. We're going to keep that week going strong, Jimmer strong, and appreciate you so very much. For those of you that know this hashtag, you know that Jimmer Sikowski is one of my brothers. Very close to my heart. He is also the leader, the owner and operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. That's how we met, and we have worked together for many years. Our friendship grew from working together and having plenty of time to spend with each other. Love him, love his family. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to Hunter. Shout out to Betty. Shout out to Jack, and everybody in the Sikowski family. So. Wearing this today for Jimmer, always wearing it across my heart every single day, even when the shirt's not on, the shirt's on, if you know what I mean. So make sure you go out to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. It's more than a chicken sandwich, and to me, it's even better than what I got from Chick-fil-A, because these Chick-fil-A's, they're run differently. There's amazing, incredible staff that I get to showcase in the light between us every single month. Go back and watch those videos on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Just wonderful people, wonderful community, happy to talk about faith, happy to, share their love for God, which I appreciate so very much, especially in today's world. And just genuinely good souls, good people. Jimmer, one of the best people that I know. So make sure that you head out to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay and let them know I said what's up. And definitely be out there very soon myself, because I love the food. And, of course, even more so, I love the people. Jimmer strong and proud to be. So with that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we're going to be bringing you our trio of signature segments we bring you every Friday, which will be the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. Then we'll jump into Lead, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, that are owned and operated by Jimmer Sikowski. Today's topic for Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver is what the acronym stands for. Today's topic is going to be God Did. So, there's a song called God Did, and we're going to expand on what I believe God Did means. So we'll talk about that today. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll jump into the top dog of the week, making my announcement of who that is, proudly presented by K9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding. And then we'll round out the show with the continuation of our Commissioner Corner series, which I love, which puts me all throughout the country with an opportunity to speak with commissioners and leaders of their respective conferences to get their thoughts on the big picture things that are affecting all of collegiate athletics, like name, image, and likeness, transfer portal realignment, and then to also get more intimately into the conference, speaking on their membership and things that they have going on there. So Jennifer Heppel is going to be joining me today, the Patriot League Commissioner, and I cannot wait to share that with you. So plenty of great things coming up. Let's hop right into it. The Annoying Moment of the Week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The Annoying Moment of the Week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so.
The Annoying Moment of the Week for this week. I'm smiling because, I'm laughing thinking about what this annoying moment of the week is going to be. So my annoying moment of the week, folks, for this week, it's a two-parter, but it has to do with the same day. My buddy Isaac is definitely going to feel this. My annoying moment of the week is, first and foremost, the fact that and listen, I understand that, I want to preface this by saying this is not an attack on officiating. I know officials, it is very difficult to do that job. It is hard to get every call right. I don't know if there's necessarily a time where everybody is 100% right on the field when it comes to officiating or in the courts of life. So, I do want to preface this by saying that. My annoying moment of the week is the fact that I had to be in two different places and I wanted to make sure that I got to both. And so I'm thinking here, like, okay, well, there's 3 hours in between. I may be a little bit late, but there's 3 hours in between. There was 3 hours in between the Syracuse game and Syracuse football game up against Western Michigan and trade night, which is over at GG Cards and Breaks, and they do it once a month. And I had, my buddy Brendan from DT and Murphy, Brendan Murphy, coming into town. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do both. I may be a little bit late to one because I know Syracuse games have, run long, and 3 hours, you would think, would, potentially be enough time to run a football game. And I'm not trying to say speed up the game because I love the game and I love going. So I'm not trying to say speed up the game by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just kind of like, okay, obviously I want to go to both. I got to get it done. So, hopefully this game will be maybe 3.5 hours. The game, so by the time I got done and got over to GG Cards and Breaks, the game started at 3:30. I got to GG Cards and Breaks at 8:19. So it was, and the commute's not that far. So in the amount of time that the game was, let's go back. Let's talk about what my annoying moment of the week truly is. My annoying moment of the week has to be the fact that the first quarter, let's start there. The first quarter took an hour, at least an hour. The first quarter took. And, the first quarter on paper is 15 minutes. But in this game, it took about an hour. It felt like it took an hour 20. But let's say it took an hour. And that, to me, was ridiculous. And the officiating in this game, they'd throw down the flag, and there would be flags that were just thrown down all the time. At one point, I thought that there was some type of battle, like, let's see who can throw the most flags. I bet you can't throw the most flags. Vegas has an over-under on how many flags are going to be thrown. Maybe that's what Vegas should start doing with Syracuse games. How many flags can be thrown during, a Syracuse game, a home game? Because there's been times where, during COVID, we had a game that took 5 hours. And that to me was outrageous how long that game took. But, again, I'm happy to be there. I'm not complaining about, hey, being at the game and this and that. It was knowing that I had to be somewhere and wanting to obviously support both. But it's part of my annoying moment of the week because they would throw flags down. They would say what the penalty is. They would take a break. They would say what the penalty is again. They would take another break. And I'm like, do they not know if they think that this should be the penalty? So, you watch stuff, and there's certain calls, like they say there's holding on every play, and it's just, which one is most egregious that we have to call it because you could see it on the screen. But ultimately, when you're watching this game, and I got to go back and watch it back, the Western Michigan game as well, but the amount of penalties that were called and the amount of time stoppage and the let's throw down 2 flags, but there wasn't a penalty. So to me, looking at that first quarter and saying to myself, okay, we got here at 3:30 and the first quarter felt like it took an hour and 20. It didn't, but it felt like it took somewhere around that time. That to me had to be one of my annoying moments of the week because I wanted to make sure that I got to the other thing, maybe an hour late. but not almost 2 hours late. So I love going to the football games. I got no gripes with that. I know officiating's hard. Part of my annoying moment, though, was just like, I was like, all right. And then, we were waiting to do interviews, and I asked to interview 2 people out of the 100 people that are there. And once again, here we are with waiting to do interviews, and they don't have somebody show up. So it's like you wait even longer knowing that you have to be somewhere, and do people really care about your time? Another part of my annoying moment is when somebody tells you that they're setting something up and they don't do it. And they don't call you, they don't follow up, they don't text you, nothing. They just don't do it. Now, if you didn't do something that you said you were going to do, this person would lose their mind. They'd send you an email, this is unprofessional, da 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 da. But when they do it, it's totally fine. And for me, I believe in, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? And so if you're not going to do your job, you can't expect other people to do their jobs. Now, I feel like, to me, I'm always going to do my job, because I would feel wrong if I didn't do my job. I'd feel guilty if I didn't do my job. I'd feel like I got to keep my word. But not everybody feels that way. And then when you follow up with someone saying like, hey, we had agreed to do this, are we doing this? And you get no response. To me, that's, to me, it shows that someone doesn't like they don't really care. They don't care if they get it done. They don't care if they help you out. They don't care if it's, if it matters to you. They don't care if it doesn't matter to you. You are not on their mind, essentially. And they don't really care to help you. So, that to me has got to be another annoying moment, because there's certain people that I deal with that I've just literally come to terms with. If they actually emailed me and actually did their job, I'd be surprised. I would be more surprised if they did what they said they were going to do than if they just didn't do anything at all. That would surprise me more. And it's sad, but over time, you kind of realize, and you do this with business, you do this with friends, or, people that you kind of realize, like, here's my friend that's always going to show up. They're going to be 15 minutes early. They're always going to, value our time together. They're going to put their phone away, da, 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 da. And then here's this other friend that's going to flake out. They always cancel. They always complain about stuff. They show up late, and they're typically on their phone. Or a plethora of those things, or one or two of them. So, that to me is something that you just come to know, right? There's certain things that you have to do. There's certain people that, you work with, not because you want to, but because that's the situation that presents itself. And I don't like the fact that people, that there are people out there that just genuinely don't care to do their job, don't care to respect certain people, and then they just, they'll see you the next time and they won't apologize, they won't say anything, they'll just keep going like it never happened. And I wasn't raised like that. I was raised that you do what you say you're going to do, and if for some reason you don't do what you said you were going to do, you apologize and you make it right. That's how I was raised. Doesn't always happen. My other annoying moment of the week is that Isaac and I always go to this cookie place, and it's become like a tradition for us. Well, we go into this place. Now, last season, they had run out of certain cookies. And you understand, right? It's busy. It's 4 or 5 weeks into the season. COVID, has been going on the last couple of years. Maybe it was hard to get some supplies in that week, whatever it may be. But it was like, okay, for a week, we understand. For 2 weeks, maybe. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, now I'm like, okay, I'm going to give them a year to get their double chocolate mint. I'm going to give them 1 year to have all that double chocolate mint ready. And then here we are, game 2. And they're like, yeah, we only have one type of cookie. We only have like less than 10 left. One type of cookie, less than 10 left. The most bland, like the sugar cookie, right? The base cookie. And I know that these are first world problems. I'm just talking about an annoying moment of the week because I didn't need it. I went home. I didn't need any cookies. It's totally fine. But it was a tradition, something that we do. And last year I didn't get my double chocolate mint a lot because they were out of it consistently. So it was the one thing that they like never had for 3 weeks. So we went in and, we're in the line. And they say to us, just so you know, all we have left is sugar cookies. We don't have many, and every other cookie is going to take a half an hour to bake, just so you know. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you got 4 or 5 workers here. Unless you had somebody just come in and buy 100 cookies, within this hour, you should have been putting stuff in the oven. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense. So they say that they don't have many sugar cookies left. Isaac goes up. Isaac likes his white chocolate macadamia, and you can listen throughout time to hear my thoughts on that. But he gets his white chocolate macadamia, which are not bad. They're really not bad. I know that, there's definitely people out there that like them. It's not my first choice, but they're not bad. And so he goes up there and they say, all we have left are sugar cookies. So Isaac goes, give me 6 of them. Give me a half dozen sugar cookies. And the lady goes, you might end up taking them all. There's like 2 left. That's it. There's 2 left. And Isaac didn't blink. He's like, cool. and I see this line behind him. And then the lady got to me. There's 2 sugar cookies left. No other cookies available at a place who has cookie in the title. It's not like it's a cafe that also has cookies. This place is dominant cookies. It's all about cookies. It's 100%, well, let's call it 95% cookies. They have some drinks, they have some ice cream, but it's cookies. It's a cookie place. Cookie in the title. So, and the other part of the title is that they're up all the time making cookies. So, 100% of the title was a lie that night. And Isaac gets the 6 cookies. There's 2 left. I looked at the lady. I was like, nah, I'm good. Give them to somebody else behind me. I don't know if the girl behind me heard it or didn't hear it. She goes, I want 2 sugar cookies. And I was like, okay, now there's nothing left for everybody else in line and everybody else coming here tonight because this place is open late. There's no cookies. So what are they going to do for the rest of the night? The 5 workers who haven't been baking anything, allegedly, for hours, are now going to stare at this line of people, and every time somebody comes in and they're like, you got some cookies? And they're like, no. And then they walk outside and they look at the title, they're like, your title has cookies on it. No. Your title says you make cookies all the time. Yeah, we didn't do that today. So I don't know what the problem was, but to me, it's like, make it make sense. Isaac and I talk about that all the time. Make it make sense. You got cookies in your title. This is what you make. This is what you're good at. This is what you focus on. The other part of your title is that you are up all hours of the day making them cookies. And what happened? Did somebody, because the last time we went in, there were workers like arguing with each other and they were doing it on the floor. And that's a no-no. You don't do that. You don't have bickers and arguments and start swearing at each other and talk about each other and this and that in front of your customers. You don't do that. You handle that stuff backstage, we call it. That's what Disney calls it. You handle it backstage. You handle it away from everybody else, right? You don't do that up in front of people like, hey, how you doing? Would you like to buy some cookies today? By the way, I hate everybody I work with. You know what I mean? It's not the time nor the place to do something like that. So my annoying moments of the week, taking an hour to get through the first quarter because of flags and confusion. Throughout the game, definitely in the first quarter, just because I felt bad that I had to be somewhere. I mean, that's in no way me saying that I want games to speed up. I love being there, and I love the games, and I appreciate them, and I love my job, and I'm not going to be a person who's ever going to not appreciate the chair that I get to sit in by the grace of God. So I do appreciate that so very much. I was just kind of laughing at a certain point, like they know that I have to go to an event. And so that's, an annoying moment of the week, but at the same time, I loved being in both places, so it's hard to truly say that it wasn't a bad experience by any stretch of the imagination. I was just trying to make sure I got somewhere, and I thought 4-hour window was probably a good window, but it ended up extending out a little bit farther than that. So I felt a little bit bad, but everything worked out. I mean, I got to the event, everything was good, Brendan was good, GG Cards and Breaks was great, and we had a great time. We had fun. So I mean, I got nothing to say to that. Everything worked out. We always spin the annoying moment to a positive. And so, I mean, that was part of my annoying moment of the week. The cookies were definitely part of it. And then people not doing their job. I mean, how do you schedule something with somebody and not respond? Or how do you try to schedule something, not respond to that person, not do anything, not follow up, and then just pretend like it didn't happen? And then when I see you, I can almost 99% of me feels like, the next time I see that person, they're not going to say a word. It's going to be like, yep, how you doing? Like nothing happened. And I couldn't go through life not doing what I'm supposed to do and not helping people out and not working with people in a positive and productive way and then just pretend like I didn't do it. I mean, to me, that would sit with me. We have almost 20 partners that we work with here, and we don't call them sponsors, we call them partners because we work together. And so we have, almost 20 partnerships. I couldn't have 19 good ones and then like screw somebody over in the other partnership and feel good about it. I would literally every single day be thinking about, you got to do that. You got to do that. You said you're going to do that. You got to go over there and do that. It's because to them, it doesn't matter. To them, it's like if you made 19 phone calls, like if you have 20 partners, you made 19 phone calls and figured everything out. They don't care that you made the other 19 because the only phone call that you didn't make is to them, and their business is what matters to them, right? If you have 10 friends and you call 9 of them on their birthday and you don't call the other one and you go, well, I called 9 out of 10, so I did a good job, Sheila. Sheila would be like, what does calling the other 9 people have to do with me? You missed my birthday, right? So, it's kind of like calling your mom and going, hey, Mom, I know I didn't spend time with you, but I spent a great time with Dad, and so I got 50% of this done. You should be happy for me. And she'd be like, well, I don't care what you did with your dad. You didn't spend time with me. So I feel like if you do your job well some of the time, are you really doing your job well? And I think that answer is no. So it's not saying be perfect. It's just do what you say you're going to do and don't work really hard for one thing and then slack off for the other, or help this person out and then leave this person in the dust, because it becomes pretty clear with people their priorities, the people that they help and the people that they genuinely, help when they feel like it. And I don't believe you can ever be successful in business, friendship, relationships, or in life in general if you are kind of good to some people and just absolutely ridiculous to others. You could be a great friend to one person and a terrible friend to 10. And at the end of the day, you think you're a great friend because you're great to one of your friends? What about the other 10 people? To me, everybody matters. And to me, you should treat people with a baseline kindness, right? Which is a smile, a hello, how are you? Right? Baseline kindness. Hey, how you doing? And mean it. Not just, hey, but hey, how you doing? Open the door. Kindness. Baseline kindness. You may not like that person, but be kind. And, unfortunately, I don't always see that from people. And it's annoying because I've kind of come to terms with the fact that there's certain people that I deal with and certain places that I deal with where they're like, you're not important to me. And I'm going to treat you that way. And I don't ever think that that's a way to do business. I think it's a way to expedite failure. And I don't live in that world. I don't wish bad on it. I don't wish bad on anybody. I mean, it's that's your thing with God. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I don't get everything done on time. But I sure as heck don't treat people like crap. And I sure as heck am not like, oh, I'm not doing this because I don't care about it. That's not the case at all. I mean, there's times where, I'm trying to do work and I'm like, well, I got to take a flight, so I got to do it when I get off the plane. I mean, I've literally sat in airports and done live broadcasts because I was like, I know I'm going to be at the airport during my show. Other people would have been like, I'm flying. I was like, no, I'll prepare something. I'll pre-plan or I'll do something in the moment. Because to me, I love what I do and I do what I love, and I feel that if you give someone your word, you're supposed to keep it. And when you don't keep it, you apologize, right? Like I said this morning, hey, thanks for your patience. And I would love it if people didn't treat people poorly, and in some cases it's so blatantly obvious that they don't care. And I just find that to be sick, that people can get away with just not doing their job. And looking at you in the face like you can either deal with me doing my job a quarter of the time or you can just leave. And it's like those are the only two options, is either you treat me like garbage or I'm not here. So, I mean, that to me is ridiculous. And I've been in relationships like that, you know, where the girl's like, you're not going to leave me. Where are you going to go? Who's going to love you? People say that a lot, right? Where are you going to go? So stick with me and deal with this garbage or be alone. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to stick with this garbage, and I'm never alone. I have God. I have my family. I have my loved ones. And I feel like we need to know that and surround ourselves with good. So my annoying moment of the weeks are clear, but I always spin it to a positive. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. If I haven't done that in the past on the air, then please know that, you know, that was the theme around it. But my annoying moment of the week, whatever it is, always comes with, okay, for this week, the time was really long. I felt like the officials were confusing us, maybe confusing each other. But you know what? I love that I was at the game. I love that I get to cover the team. And it's a joy for me because it's my hometown, and I love I love being there, and I love everything that's brought into my life and into my career. That's the positive. Dealing with people that have no respect for you and don't do their job, hey, you know what? It makes me work harder. It makes me say to myself, I can't control what they do, but how can I be better to the people that I work with? So it's like taking someone who doesn't work well with me and then deciding how I can work well with others. Instead of taking what they gave me and paying that negativity forward, I take what they give me and I turn it into a positive and pay that forward instead, right? What if we lived life that every time someone did something poor to us, we did something nice for somebody else? So somebody calls us a name, instead of sitting there worrying about it and letting it ruin our day, someone calls us the name, we go, okay, that stinks, we can't control it, let me go buy a coffee for somebody. And you take that energy that someone tried to give you that was negative, and you push back at it with positive energy. You hurt me, I'm going to go help somebody. How crazy would that be, right? In a good way. If every time somebody did us dirty, we did somebody right. We did something good. That's something to think about. And my other annoying moment of the week with the cookies, well, that's just annoying. No, I'm kidding. So, I appreciate being there. And it's more of, it's more of the time. It's the quality time with a brother. It's the quality time with Isaac and having something that we get to do together that I appreciate. So, there's always next week by the grace of God. And I look forward to it. And the other side of it, too, for me is like, if the cookies aren't in the house, I'm not going to eat them. So that's another good part, too, because taking care of my body and fitness and health is very important to me. And there's a lot of areas where I could get better at that. And I intend to. So those are spinning your annoying moments of the week to the positive. If you have an annoying moment of the week, be sure to send it in. Let us know what your annoying moment of the week is. And what are you doing to make it positive? We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll have Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, centering around the topic, God did. The annoying moment of the week brought to you by Carvel DeWitt. Head out to Carvel DeWitt today, no matter how your day is going and what's going on. Carvel DeWitt's got those same awesome flavors as always. Brighten up your day. It is what happy tastes like, and it is the longest standing Carvel franchise in America. You could find the DT Dolphin at your Carvel DeWitt only. The only place in the world with the DT Dolphin. Mint chocolate chip ice cream, hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of the whipped cream to honor our Lemoyne College Dolphins. We'll be back right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue. in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, your premier sports card shop, and in my opinion, the only one to make to bring yourself out to. I mean, to make your memories continue to grow in the hobby. I love GG Cards and Breaks. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. I put my money where my mouth is. I've probably been there 5 times in the last 7 days. So let me think. I was there Saturday. I was there Sunday. I was there Monday. I was there yesterday. And was I there Tuesday? So I want to say Monday. And yeah. So at least Saturday, Sunday, Monday, yesterday. So at least 4 out of 4 out of 7 days, 5 out of 7 days, somewhere within that region. And you know, it's a wonderful place. Josh and Anthony do an incredible job. You know, shout out to the entire staff. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Joel. You know, I mean, they just do amazing work. The sports card hobby is a beautiful thing. It keeps us all kids. There's excitement to it. There's people that do it to make money. There's people that do it to collect the players that they love, the teams that they love. There's people that do both, right? And for me, you know, it's like as long as I've been in the hobby, as much as I've loved cards growing up, you know, the majority of my life, I don't typically collect baseball. And now, you know, I'm collecting a bunch of baseball cards because of Gigi, because of, you know, my buddy Brendan and I doing this thing and just all connecting through this. Same hobby, new memories. That's why we call the monthly video series that. We do box breaks. I've done a ton of box breaks, and I have 2 more box breaks coming up. I have 2 more tins. The tins are back. They sold out. The tin that I got, the Kenny Pickett, the downtown Kenny Pickett, people went in and were buying the tins. While I was there, people bought tins. After we aired that video, the tins sold out. They sold out of their entire lot of football blaster boxes and mega boxes and tins. Everything was gone. And I thank you for that. I thank you for watching the video, and I thank you for the call to action of you saying, hey, I saw what Dan got. I saw the video. This was cool. I want to see what I can get. And now they got a whole new supply of boxes, blaster boxes, mega boxes, and tins. They have Trevor Lawrence tins now, which they didn't have before. Shout out Jacksonville. What up? So make sure you go out there. I'm going to be doing 2 tin breaks and airing those from GG Cards and Breaks. You definitely want to get out there. If you've never been in the sports card hobby, it's easy to get into. And if you've been in it, it's easy to continue on. Because GG Cards and Breaks, they care. They're different in the best of ways. When people come through the door, they want to help you. They build relationships. And you could tell that it's genuine. So, I appreciate that. Beyond what I can simply say here today. GG Cards and Breaks, open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Sundays 10 to 5. And of course, you can find them on ggcardsandbreaks.com, and you can find them at their location 7 days a week, 639 Delmar Place, right off of Teal Avenue in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, it's time to jump into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver is the acronym that I would say God helped me create back in 2019. Right before COVID hit, and it was a perfect timing thing, as it always is when it comes to, God, and that is learning, evolving, ad-libbing, and delivering, right? Delivering on our promises to ourselves and to others, our promises to God. And this is all proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Today's topic for lead is God Did. Now, there's a song that I listen to that is called God Did. And I listened to this song because, well, number one, I'm happy that, a bunch of rappers, because I like hip hop, that a bunch of rappers would rap about God and actually put, something out there like this. That means a lot to me. And God Did, which is a song that you should all take the time to listen to, comes to you from DJ Khaled and other members on this as well. So we have DJ Khaled as well as Friday, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, John Legend. And the song helped me think about this title today, God Did. Well, what did God do? Well, first and foremost, God woke you up. Well, actually, first and foremost, God created you so that you could wake up. So let's go all the way back. God made you so that you could have a shot at life in general, right? God created you. After God created you, God wakes you up every day. No, I wake myself up, Dan. No, you're asleep. God wakes you up every day. What else did God do? Well, if you have loved ones, God did that, right? Brought good people into your life. If you're living your dreams, doing what you love, loving what you do, God did that. Well, Dan, I did it. I worked hard. Yeah, you did. And none of that should be taken away from you. But there are moments in your career where doors opened up, you bumped into the right people at the right time, you were at your wit's end, you were making almost no money, and then within a month or two, you're making enough money to pay your bills. How many times have you been in a moment in your life where you said, how are we going to get by? How are we going to do this? How are we going to be okay? And then all of a sudden, not too far down the road, you were okay. Right? You sat there in a moment of, what am I going to do? I mean, I thought about that. I thought about that at plenty of times in my life. I'm married. This is no longer a good relationship for me. I'm going to get out of it because it's not even get out of it. I'm going to move beyond it because it's not healthy for me. But in order to move beyond it, my bills are going to go up $800 a month, right? More? Almost double? But you know what? I never wanted for anything. I never had to look up at God and say, I can't do this, I failed. We worked it out. And it always worked out. When my parents got divorced and I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be okay? I have a good relationship with both of my parents, and that's all that matters to me when I woke up today, is that I love my dad loves me, I love my mom loves me. My mom told me that she thought she looked beautiful when she went to her reunion, and that, to me, is something I've been wanting to hear my mom say forever is, Daniel, I feel good, I looked good, I'm proud of myself, I had a good time. For my mom to see in herself what we all have seen in her forever. You look at those blessings. There was a time in my business years ago where I said, this is what I'm making going into the new year. I thought I did everything I could do for this one client and they just don't appreciate it. They're going to go, they're going away. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And I will give my ex-wife credit for this because as much as we weren't the right people to stay together, so there's a lot of positive things that she left with me that I think of to this day, and I appreciate her for that. And I hope that there's at least one thing that I left her with positively that she can reflect on. And one of the things she said to me was, when are you gonna just stop stressing? And I was like, I looked at her and she's like, God has always been there for you. God has always found you. And I was like, you're right. Whenever I'm like afraid to turn that corner, go down that alley, God's always there. And she's like, yeah, she said, I look forward to the day where you know that God's got you because he's always had you and you just don't even worry about it. And a couple months later, within literally, I was like, this is what I'm making going into the new year. That multiplied by 10. And then it was like a distant memory that I even had the thought of like, what am I going to do with this? God did. God finds a way. If you have faith and you believe in God, and people say, well, Dan, I have faith, I believe in God. I had a family member die of cancer. Why didn't God fix that? I don't have an answer for that. Only God can answer that. Does that mean God loves you less? No. Does that mean you matter less? No. Does it mean the person that passed away, God was like, I don't care about that person? No. My grandfathers died when I was 6. One had a heart attack. Well, they both had heart attacks. One had a heart attack, was on life support. The other one had a heart attack, and by the time they got to him, he was already passed away. Both amazing people, both good to me, both loved me with everything they had, and I knew that, and I felt that. So why did they pass away, right? Why did they die when they died? I don't have an answer for that. I don't. I'm not God. I don't know. I'm guessing he needed them at that time. But you want to know what God did after they passed away? I had a dream about them 30 years ago that I could still tell you today what I dreamt about. I think about my grandfathers at least once a day. I feel them with me. I feel their presence. I never feel like they're dead. I feel like they're very much alive. God did that. I don't know why, God said it's time to come home back in 1992 to both of them in the same year. But I can tell you that God has never left me without them. So as hard as it is to not physically be with them, I know they're here. My G-Mama, I know she's here. My Gammy, I know she's here. I saw her in my back seat within the last few days, smiling, just smiling, and I cried. And I don't know how to explain that stuff to you, but I know that she's there. We want to take credit for everything in today's society, right? We don't need God. We have Google, right? And it's no offense to Google. I'm just using it as an example. But it's like, we don't need God. We have Google. I don't need a girlfriend. I have Alexa. She does everything for me and she doesn't fight with me. I have a car that massages my butt and heats my back. What do I need a relationship for? This is amazing, right? We live in a world now where we have ousted God and in God's place put technology. And if you've watched any movie ever created, ever since the beginning of time, ever, I wanted to make sure I put enough evers in there. Technology, the obsession and worship of technology always leads to the fall of mankind. Every time. Every movie. Everywhere. So probably go watch Terminator or Age of Ultron or iRobot and get a clue. Technology is a good thing, but it's not our God. And technology doesn't have a soul. Technology doesn't have a conscience. And even if we thought we could put one in it, we're human beings. We're flawed. Human beings cannot manufacture souls. We cannot manufacture conscience. We cannot manufacture gut feeling. You can't create that. We think we can. Now that I'm saying it, I probably have people going, yeah, Dan, I'm working on that right now. Well, okay, great. Playing God always does well for humanity. And that is sarcasm. we live in a society where we've tried to push God farther and farther out, and society has continued to fall more in doing that. You push God a little, maybe you don't see it. Maybe there's one thing, two things that are kind of off. When you push God away a lot, there's a lot of things, right? Remember when Columbine was the only school shooting and we were like, oh my, it was like 9/11. Every year, you reflect on Columbine. Now there's a threat of a school shooting four times a school year. 7 school shootings, 20 school shootings, 9 school shootings, 3 school shootings. Some people are desensitized to it now. Oh, another school shooting? Oh, great. Okay, whatever. On to lunch. Tuna salad sandwich. But think about that. What's the difference between America back then and America now? There was more God. God was in schools. There wasn't this like loss of identity and who we are and what we're about and feeling comfortable in our own skin. There wasn't that like attack on the family. People search their whole lives trying to figure out who they are. In today's society, they want you to not know who you are. Change who, like just confuse who you are. And I think that's crazy. I don't think anybody should come into your life and tell you who you are. I have people in my life that are all different shapes and sizes and walks and colors of the rainbow and everything. I would never walk into someone's life who's different than me and go, you're a good person, but you're different, so I hate you. I don't think of life that way. I don't believe that we have a right to tell somebody who they have to be. And in the same respect, I don't think anybody has a right to say that to me. See, there's a lot of double standards in American society where it's, you can't tell me what to do, but I'm going to tell you what to do. And it's as simple as that. And people don't even maybe even know that they're doing it, but they will look right at you and say, don't tell me how to live my life. And within the same breath, they'll go, so why do you believe in God? Why are you Christian? Why do you do that? Why do you think that way? And it's, why do you, and to me, it's like, you just said to me that I can't tell you what to do, and you're telling me what to do. Well, that's different because you're doing it wrong. I'm doing it right. Okay, that's your opinion. So, I feel like God's at the center, right? God is at the center of God, of his children. And in God being at the center of his children, to me, he can talk, that's where the sense comes in. God is the sense in the center of the children, right? God is the one that creates the sense, right? The common sense, the practicality, the logic, the rationale. That's God, right? God's the baseline. And when you don't have your baseline, you're kind of all over the place, right? If you don't have a baseline, you're kind of just floating in air. And I feel like that's what we're doing without God. And so this segment today, God did, create me. God did wake me up today and every day before now. God did help me find my loved ones. God did put me in a good family. God did help me find my strength. God did help me achieve my dreams. God did help put those dreams inside of my heart and in my soul and in my mind. God did help me get through things I didn't think I could get through. God did help me get off the ground. God did help me get out of a black hole. God did all that stuff. Were there friends that helped along the way? Yeah, but I believe that came from God. That love, like that person's in my life and they had the free will to do and say the things that they wanted to, but God helped put them in my life. God did that, right? It's sheer coincidence that I ended up sitting next to this person and talking to this person that day. It's sheer coincidence that I had a friend that said, hey, you should talk to this person who's doing what you did when you were in college because I think you guys would hit it off. And I think that, there could be a good working relationship there, maybe a good friendship there. Right? Of any place my dad could have taken me on Father's Day, he brought me to GG Cards and Breaks. It's not like my dad was like, hey, I'm going to bring Dan into the store and he's going to form a partnership because he's going to love it here. It's like, hey, I'm going to bring Dan to the store. But I feel like there was something else at work. God did. There's not a single business that I work with that has been, amazing to us, that I don't feel God had a part in that, or God had a part in, a kid talking to me at a West Genesee event at the Wildcat Sports Pub, and that kid asking me a question in rapid fire and having no idea that the question that they asked me helped me to figure something out that I haven't figured out in a year. How could they possibly have known? But God did. God knew. So I feel like, God is a part of everything, right? How I found out everything going on in my marriage, that to me was all God. Because something inside of me all day was like, you got to check this out. You got to look at this. You got to pay attention to this. There's something that's wrong. You don't want to see it, but I need you to see it. Like there was something there, and it was calling like, hey, look at this. Find this out. And then another time in a different relationship, it was like, hey, Dan, there's something here. There's something here, right? God did that. Because if I didn't see it and I didn't know it, I would be in a bad place right now. Be in a bad relationship or two right now. If I had stayed in this one and didn't see this, that would have been bad. If I had stayed in the other one and didn't see that, that would have been bad. So, there was a day that somebody tried to really harm me in a relationship. And to this day, I think to myself, how did I even get out of that? Because I think God helped me. I know God helped me get out of that. God's been a part of everything. Even down to going into a store and seeing a candle that they could call anything in the world. And what do they call the candle? Wake up call. And I just happen to be in that store at that time with my mom, and I buy the candle because how poetic and how fitting. And that's happened to me with that. That's happened to me with a mug. I went into a Marshall's or a TJ Maxx years ago as a kid, and I was looking for stuff to put in the basement room that we had redone, which was kind of like my room, like my place to create and do things. I go into the store looking for stuff, and I kid you not, there's a sauce on the shelf that's not called Dan sauce. It's called Dan T's sauce. Literally a bottle of sauce that looks like it says Dan Tortora sauce. Of any store in the world, anywhere I could be, there's a sauce that has my first name and my last initial. To me, God did that. And people might think it's crazy, but the more I believe in God, the more I feel God. The more I see God, the more I know that God's there. The more that I would try to go with society and push God away, the more helpless, alone, confused, and just absolutely depressed I would be. I can understand society being depressed and down, because without God, that is an easy reaction. Without God, it is perfectly, rational that you become depressed, you become stressed, you become anxious, you become paranoid, you become lost. But a lost world is found in realizing that God did a lot of things. And that's not to take away from you, and it's not to take away from your loved ones, and it's not to take away from anybody that did something, right? Somebody goes and buys you flowers. They made that choice. But how did that person come into your life, right? It's that person's choice. They did that, right? Stacy did that. Tiffany did that. Kyle did that. Justin did that. They bought you the flowers. But who do you think brought them into your life? God did. Because that initial crossing, how does that happen? I had a buddy that him and his wife said, yeah, I don't think we want to have kids. I don't think we're having kids. All these years later, beautiful baby boy. So who do you think did that? Right? They didn't want to have kids, and God was like, but I have a beautiful child for you, and I want this for you. And you might think you don't want this opportunity, but I'm going to tell you that you do. We don't always know better. We don't always have clarity. We don't always make sense. We're not always rational. We're not always kind. We're not always sympathetic, but God is. So if you're looking for the reason why things just happen to work out. And the more faith you have, the more things come through. And even in the toughest, darkest of times, things become okay. My grandfather's died when I was 6 years old, 31 years ago. Right? Do I have a grudge against God? No. Because if you looked at my life for the last 37 years, yes, there's things that happen that I can't explain. Yes, there's things that happen that were hard and difficult. Yes, there's things that happen that mess with my brain and hurt my heart. But if you looked at every blessing I've had in my life, God has given me a life that I would live 1,000,000 times over because I have a reason to say thank you every day. Because there's things that God did that I will always be grateful for. So today, when you look around at your loved ones, you look around at the job that you love, and you look around at the opportunities you have and the things that you get to do, maybe, just maybe, take the time to appreciate what God did. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Rd in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of Where Sports Meets Life, here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you're hanging out with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora worldwide on YouTube.com as well as Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. And of course, you know that it is around 10 a.m. Eastern Time on a Friday, which means it is time to announce our top dog of the week. Top dog of the week proudly presented by the amazing, amazing team at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. You could get in touch with them by calling 315-437-7110 for the Canine Camp Dog Daycare. That's 315-437-7110. And for the Kampground, 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Make sure you reach out to them today. They're both in East Syracuse. They fill up quick, so you want to make sure that you call immediately so that you can make sure that your dog, for short and long-term care, has a place to go that's going to treat them like family and help them to have a great time. It's a party at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. I appreciate them so much. They've taken care of Lily, and they've done a tremendous job. Lorraine, Perry, Chad, the entire team, thank you so much for all that you do. And, of course, thank you every week for giving me the opportunity to partner together in the Top Dog of the Week. My Top Dog of the Week for this week, it's got to be Mama. Mama's got to be Top Dog of the Week. I'm going to tell you why Mama's Top Dog of the Week. Because Mama did something yesterday that Mama's done for a long time. My mother, when I was a little kid, my mom would help me go collect cards. And I actually have to give me 1 second here, folks, because I got to grab something from the office here connected to the studio so I could show you this, because this is extremely meaningful to me. So, my mom has always been about, you know, what matters to her boy and what can she do to make sure that that flame inside of her son stays strong and stays bright. And so, Mama at GG Cards and Breaks will appreciate this too. My mom would always take me out. She would take me out to get cards all the time. And my grandmothers would too. Shout out Gammy and G-Mama in heaven. So my mom is the Top Dog of the Week this week. I'm going to tell you why. There's a little bit of a backstory. So I have two of these collector's card albums, right? I still love the smell of them. They still smell the same from when I was a kid. These two collector cards albums. By the way, I love these albums. I need to find this album and buy more of these, because this one, it just has special meaning because of what's in it and because of all the history. So if you look through this here, these are all Damon Stoudemire cards. This is his time in Arizona with the Wildcats in college. It continues to be, this is all Arizona still. And then it starts to go into his time in Toronto. These are all of his rookie cards. I have so many of them. This one's one of my favorites of all time. And, you just flip through here, and it's just Damons galore. And they're all different. They're all different. I mean, there's no doubles in here. So then, I filled up one of my card albums, so I had to buy another one. This is also one of my favorite cards of all time. It's the Raptors together and them wearing their TR, which I love. And you just go through here, and these are all Damon Stoudemire cards. What they used to do with a bunch of these cards is they would put a protector thing in there, so you'll see the writing on here. It'll say Topps Protector, and they're all Damon Stoudemire, with the Raptors for the most part. The last ones here show him when he went to Portland. And which kind of, I obviously, was still a Raptor fan. I've always been a Raptor fan since they came out in 95. But I, became a Portland Trailblazer fan as well, as long as Damon was there. It was sad to see him leave Toronto. I never wanted him to leave Toronto. But yeah, I'm a huge Stoudemire fan. So why am I showing you these? Because as a kid, my mom took it personal to her too. It's I want my baby to be able to have something he loves, something that makes him smile. And if he's having a bad day, I want him to have something he appreciates. And my mom would always be about making memories. It's not about buying stuff and just stacking stuff and piling stuff. That's not what I'm talking about here. It was about these have meaning to me to this day. Like, these are two of my most prized possessions. I don't know how much money is in, because that doesn't even matter to me. I don't even want to finish the sentence of it. I didn't buy these for the money. I love Damon Stoudemire, big fan, and getting, collecting his cards, it just kind of happened, and it became a thing where I wanted, every single one I could possibly find. And his cards are so cool. They're just so cool and so different. And, I would love it if card companies would start doing this stuff again and get back to some of this nostalgia. Not that they don't have cool stuff now, but I feel like, when one company corners the market, there's less you can do with these, I don't want to say there's less you could do. It's just, I miss seeing what some of the brands did, what Chrome did and this, that, and whatever. And so I bring this up for my mom being the top dog of the week, because my mom would go out and collect cards, with me. She would go out and help me find places. She would work at the fair, and the fair would sell sports cards, and she would walk through the entire fair to find where the sports cards are, just so she could get a pack to bring them home to her son. And yesterday at 37 years old, I said to my mom, "Hey, I'm down at GG Cards and Breaks." And she goes, "Cool. I think I'm going to show my face down there." And my mom came down. She introduced herself to everybody. And Joel and Josh and Anthony and Alex were there. And she said hi to everyone. She spoke with everyone, left a good impression, as she always does, on everybody. And while we were standing there, I'm talking to Anthony, and my mom's asking questions about cards and this and that. And she's like, "Oh, he's got a birthday coming up." She goes to the register while I'm talking to Anthony. She comes back to me with a stack of sports card packs, and she hands them to me, and she's like, "Happy early birthday." 37 years old, and my mom's still coming into the card shop, buying me cards because she knows it's something that I love. That's why she's the top dog. Because if you have anybody in your life that cares about what you care about and makes an effort with what you care about. My mom's never collected a card in her life. But because I do, it matters to her. Because I do, she smiles. She wants to see it. She wants to know about it. She wants to be a part of it. And being 37 years old, after collecting all these cards as a kid, and on days that were tough in high school, and on days where I cried, and on days where I was sad, and on days where I was scared, sometimes I just sit up in my room and I'd look at these. And I'd sit with God, and I'd look at my cards. And then I would calm down. Cards for me, it's not just a hobby. It's something that means a lot to me, and there's a lot of memories behind it. And to know that all these years later, my mom will still go to a card shop and still try to surprise her boy. 37 years old or 9 years old. My mom is still trying to surprise me, still trying to do something nice. And she knows this from back in the day. Before I opened a pack yesterday, I go, "Ma, you got to rub the pack. You got to rub the pack for good luck." And she's like, "Daniel, I already did." That's what she said to me yesterday. She goes, "I already rubbed the packs before I handed them to you." Little things like that create the memories that last forever. And the fact that my mom came to GG Cards and Breaks yesterday just to come in, just to see me, just to celebrate and just have fun with her son, like we did when I was a little kid. Just to be a part of something I love. And to see me smile. That's one heck of a human. And it's one incredible mom. And as I told her, if God had me do this life an infinite amount of times, I'd pick her every time to be my mom. She's the top dog of the week. But she's the best mom I could ever ask for. Top dog of the week. Mom of infinite lifetimes. I love you, Ma. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, bringing you the top dog every single week. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Fridays to find out who my top dog is going to be next week and every week thereafter, by the grace of God. Proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding of East Syracuse. We look forward to seeing you out there, and you can call for more information for the daycare at 315-437-7110 and the Kampground Dog Boarding at 315-299-4013. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, and around the corner on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, you'll find the Kampground. Both of them located across the street from BJ's, right off the highway and right off of Erie Boulevard. Very easy to get to from multiple locations, and the most fantastic place when it comes to taking care of your dog. And I know that because they've taken care of Lily. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Chad. Thank you to the top dogs at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. We'll be back after this fast break with our newest addition to the Commissioner Corner series as I go around the country speaking with the leaders in collegiate athletics. Up next, Jennifer Heppel, Patriot League Commissioner, right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome here to another edition of Commissioner Corner. I am so proud to go across the country and have the opportunity to speak with commissioners all throughout collegiate athletics. We are here today with the Patriot League, and this is no stranger to the broadcast, Jennifer Heppel, the commissioner of the Patriot League and the Patriot League itself in our coverage of collegiate athletics around the country. Always happy to have him here. And thanks to the generosity of the Patriot League and Jennifer Heppel, I get to rock this hat right here that you could see this morning. So happy to be here. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely.
I always enjoy this conversation.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone on that I don't think have affected commissioners anywhere. I think NIL's pretty much in control. Transfer portal's pretty quiet. And thank goodness that conference realignment hasn't happened again. So with all of that obviously being facetious, to those of you that don't know what it means to be facetious, the reality that we're in right now as a commissioner, as a leader of collegiate athletics, is that the world is ever changing. NIL has right now more questions than answers as a leader, which is the same as when it started. Same thing for the transfer portal, although there might be maybe a few things that make sense, or maybe some parameters put on, hopefully at some point. And then conference realignment, geography doesn't matter anymore, and here we go. So how do you tackle each of these things while also trying to run a conference?
Yeah, well, here's what I will say. Geography does matter for
some
a lot
people.
of us.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's I think clearly every conference is different. Every conference is unique. And these decisions impact a league like the Patriot League because we are Division I. We are part of the national college athletics landscape. But these are not our decisions.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're once again looking forward to the start of another academic year. Games are underway: volleyball, field hockey, men's, women's soccer, one football game, that starts in full this weekend. And things are, while things are certainly, I would say that this is a time in college athletics that, hopefully we'll look back on, right? I say we'll look back on in 50 years, because hopefully college athletics will still be here in 50 years, that this is a time of significant change. But there's always going to be change, and there's always going to be evolution. And what I look for as the Patriot League is we have a model that works very well for us.
Yeah.
We continue to evolve, to improve and get better. But we kind of, sometimes you have to limit the bad decision making.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, geography matters to some conferences, your conference being one of those. When you see these decisions happening, and especially in the case of a conference like the Big Ten, where there's 4 West Coast schools that are going to take 2,500 miles if you were to travel on a road, and play USC versus Penn State, and understanding that not every sport is going to get privately chartered. Maybe not everyone's going to be flown. We look to the Big 12 in Arizona and UCF, and that's another 2,000 miles. We're talking about trips that are going to take more than 24 hours if they were to be driving trips. So how do you look at that when we're saying that we're focused as an enterprise on mental health, student athletes' mental health, going through all of this travel, all of this time away, and just fans trying to get around a 2,000 mile distance and trying to find that game matters to them? How do you look at something like that?
Again, it's not our model. I think, sorry, this is the downside of being at my desk, is my phone just started to ring. So I apologize. And it never rings, so I don't even know how to turn it off.
Oh, it's okay.
There, I apologize for that. So I think, if I had the resolution for that, I think I would be a hot commodity for those conferences and providing a consulting service. I'm not sure they have the resolution, quite honestly. But that's what they have signed up for. And they'll work their way through to the end of that. I do think it's important, and this is something you read, football is different in terms of the capacity for national travel than a sport where you're playing multiple games in a week. And I'm not saying anything new when they say that football has driven many of these conversations and the dollar. And again, it is a different model than what we are prioritizing in the Patriot League. When I look at our schools and you look at the mission of the institution, right, and part of that mission is providing a residential experience. There's an educational, but there's also very much this residential living and learning environment that is created on our campuses. And if you're not on campus, you can't learn from that model. You can't take advantage of that, and the institution can't live up to its mission. But those are our institutions. So,
and like you said, with the Patriot League and the things that do matter to you in geography and being on campus and experiencing it and keeping to the mission of your institution, how proud are you when you look at, these logos that make up either as full members or associate members, when you see the Patriot League in its entirety? How does it live up to what the expectations have been, and just what you can say about your pride for the Patriot League?
I'm so proud of and honored to work within the league, but then just our schools, our coaches, the administrators, presidents, the respect that they have for each other and the trust that they have for each other, and the decision that they've made to come together and share this experience across these campuses, and to approach the work we do with the idea that these are people that you want to partner with.
Yeah.
These are, when you look across the table, these are other institutions, they are other individuals and programs that when we make decisions together, we're stronger, we're better, we make each other better. And I love that. I really do. And I think that's the ultimate definition of a conference. And why you would choose to come together and affiliate with each other is that you believe that your partners are going to make you stronger. And strength is defined by some very intangible goals, values as well.
And with this Patriot League stepping forward in a unique world that we have in collegiate athletics, as we look to NIL and transfer portal, as I brought up before. How do you, as the leader of the Patriot League, sit down with the member institutions and have the conversation of certain things that are out of your control, right? The NCAA, when states were trying to figure out, do we want to do this? Do we want to have name, image, and likeness? NCAA said, guess what? Whether you like it or not, you have to allow it. And so now that Pandora's box has been open, and the transfer portal, the crazy thing about the transfer portal is that I've been around football programs that are here in the midst of camp going into the season, bringing in players. And I said, if this is not NFL free agency, I mean, I don't know what it is when you could be 2 weeks into camp and say, I think we need another defensive back. Go get that guy from whatever state and bring him in. How are you handling these two things?
I think fundamentally the way I look at both NIL and transfer is, at their core, and when managed appropriately, these are very important steps forward. It's progress, right? A student athlete's ability to control their name, image, and likeness, and to monetize it if they so desire. That is an important right for us to have granted to student athletes and earned. And quite frankly, we should have done 8 years ago. The ability to transfer and be eligible for competition. I mean, that's what we're really talking about, right? It's not just you can transfer anytime you want. It's, can you transfer and be eligible to compete right away? And that latter part is what has been controlled by both NCAA and conference regulation for 100+ years. I am a little bit more familiar with the Big Ten history, having spent years there, but you can go back to Big Ten handbooks from before the existence of the NCAA, and they have regulations around the ability to compete after transfer. They just called them migrant students as opposed to transfer students. So that has been a part of our enterprise for 100+ years, but that idea of competing right away, that's what we're talking about here. That is that also is important to have the right to do that under, I think, circumstances that and commitments from both the institution and the student toward earning that degree. And understanding that the reality is when you transfer, you fall behind academically. That's a fact. There's data, that's a fact. You transfer, you're going to fall behind academically. So if we are in this for education, then the way that we should regulate transfer is around your academic performance, and your ability to stay on track to earn that degree within a reasonable time frame. Little subjectivity on reasonable, but so anyway, back to at the core, NIL and transfer are important steps forward. Basically the granting of rights to student athletes in those areas, but they have to be executed correctly. And I think we're struggling through that with NIL right now. I think we'll get there. It's too important for us not to get there. We'll get there. Transfer, nobody's ever going to be happy with transfer unless it's your own student athlete, and then you want them to be able to come in and be immediately eligible, but you don't want anybody to go anywhere and be eligible. So that's life. You have to tune a little bit of that out, and think about what's our goal. You should be able to transfer, but this is an educational enterprise, so stay on track here, and that may impact different student athletes differently.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point of continuing to focus in on, if this is for the education of it, then what are we doing? And because education has taken such a back seat that people laugh when they hear student athlete now at times. And so when you look at the transfer portal and you say, let's look at when someone's transferring, wants to be immediately eligible, and the reality of falling behind academically, let's create some parameters around this. What are their grades? Let's applaud and award somebody who is in good standing. But if somebody isn't, maybe, we say, okay, there's going to be a restrictive piece of this for you to get back on track in order to be eligible, in order to transfer, whatever it may be.
And by the way, that is part of the current rule, right? Yeah. You cannot transfer and compete right away unless you're academically eligible.
Yeah. And I think
at the school you were leaving and the school you're going to. So,
yeah. And that being a component of it and an important piece of it that's not discussed publicly, right? Because, it's just, well, where are they going from this school to that school? Well, what's their star? How many stars do they have?
Right.
So in the transfer world, though, the fact that someone can transfer, as I made mention of, in the midst of training, you have these football teams inside of the Patriot League that are going into their seasons right now. And as an example, and here are the opportunities that you could come out of spring ball,
right?
Know your playbook, go to the competitor, go anywhere. You can go within your conference, you can go anywhere you want to.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, you're in a situation where people are emotional, people are upset, they can run. People get, beat out in spring ball, they can run. So what should we be doing with these windows of the transfer portal? Because people are transferring at times, which could be very detrimental to the program that they're leaving from. It is within time periods where it's hard to recruit, and it's during very emotional times.
Yeah. And it comes back to this concept of trying to, and you're never going to get a one size fits all, right? But it's this concept of fairness You know, what is fair to the individual student athlete that might want to pursue other opportunities? What is fair to the coach, who, you know, by the way, this is their career. And in many cases, this is, you know, they are judged on their ability. It's not just wins and losses, but it's their ability to retain student athletes, and you know, provide that experience where student athletes want to stay. So of course, some coaches will, you know, losing a player is challenging. It's also a concept of fairness to the student athletes that remain, you know, that we're counting on teammates to, you know, we talked at the beginning of the show about, you know, wanting to come together to create something that is stronger than you would be individually. I mean, that's the concept of a team, right? And when you start to lose individual parts, or you're not all working together, that's hard for every member of that team. So there's not an easy answer to any of that. You know, one of the things with the windows, there were, when we put the windows in place, there was a large contingent, you know, a lot of voices, including the student athlete voice, that says they didn't want windows at all. The student athletes would still say we would prefer an environment without windows. And that's where administrators and coaches came in and said, look, we need to, you know, meet in the middle on this, because there needs to be this concept of stability, and an ability to plan, but also fairness to your teammates as well. And that's why the windows where this can't happen during the season, you know, you're going to have bad practices, you're going to have bad games. And let's work through this. Like, get stronger, get knocked down, get back up, get stronger. Let's think about it. Let's not make a rash decision at 1 a.m. because you had a bad practice. But at some point, this windows, we do have data now. Most student athletes will enter the transfer portal within the first few weeks after it opens. And if it's open for like 6 weeks, the ones that are entering near the end, you know, they're just, it slows to a trickle. So might it make more sense to maybe shorten them a little, to provide some certainty around it? Yes, but at the same time, you need time to determine the academic side of it as well. And that extends beyond athletics. So it's a balance. It's going to be a balance. And there is not a perfect answer.
Yeah. And the thing is, once you open up something without a lot of parameters, it creates this world of, you know, if there are little to no restrictions, who wants to go back and have restrictions, right? It's kind of like saying to elementary school that more than half their day is going to be recess, and now you're trying to tell them they got to go to class. Well, who wants to go to class when you can play outside all day? So
do you want to work from home, or do you want to come into the office 5 days a week, right? Like, you know, I mean, it's here's where we are, and we have to muddle through these things. And at this point, you just hope for good, professional, respectful conversations to come to the best place possible, with the willingness to learn and adjust.
And I mean, that's a perfect way to put it, right? To come respectfully, to sit down, work together, and find that compromise where you can, not everything's going to be exactly how everybody wants it, but can we get to a place where each conference feels heard, that there is some type of consistency and some type of level playing field, instead of just creating more opportunities for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. As the leader of the Patriot League, as commissioner here, Jennifer, do you feel that the NCAA, within figuring out its constitution and who they are and their leadership and all of these new things going on, do you feel that the Patriot League has a seat at the table? Do you feel like they're listening nationally to the Patriot League, or can we do better?
Number one, we can always do better, right? Like we can always do better. I probably, though, would never give is it gymnastics that scores on the, a perfect 10, right? In the old days, and I was a figure skater growing up. It was a 6.0. It was a perfect 6. Never would have gotten a 6. You can always be better. But yes, so the NCAA is, call it a membership driven organization, and decisions are made by a bureaucracy that is, we are the schools, the conferences, we are that bureaucracy. I am just coming off of 6 years of service on the NCAA Committee on Academics. And I was on that committee with presidents, with faculty members, with athletics directors, with student athletes, with, academic advisors. And we oversaw, a large part of the academic side of the NCAA. And that was not the staff. The staff supported us, but it's the membership. The Patriot League, as do all right now 32 Division I conferences, have a permanent seat on the Division I Council, which is I would say, the decision-making body for Division I. It does report to the presidents, and not all conferences are represented at the presidential level. If I were to make an adjustment, I would change that presidential representation. I would give every conference a seat in the room. But that is not the model that we're in. That is not the model that the FBS conferences have advocated for or support. And so through, as I said, you come to the table, you negotiate things, and that representation, consistent representation at that level is we negotiated that away a number of years ago for other games. So even within Division I, where there's a push and a pull, you don't get everything, but you try to look at the package and say, this is where we need to go. So yes, there's representation. I will always kind of fight against representation based on success, right? We've gone to a model more recently, and I'm going to use the men's and women's basketball committees as an example, where conferences do get seats based on success. It's not the only way to get a seat on that committee. I don't love it. I'll be honest with you. But it's, we're seeing how it goes, where I think this is the first year, second year of that model. So we'll see how it goes. You want to make sure the right people are in the room. And at the end of the day, sometimes the Patriot League has the right people, and sometimes other conferences have the right people.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate, that look inside, because that's what Commissioner Corner is here for, right? It's no matter what other powers that be seek to give or not give representation, I open up Commissioner Corner to every single conference and say, hey, I would love for you to tell your story and to tell where you're at, because in my opinion, everybody should be treated equally, or else what are we here for? There's going to be success coming in different places at different times. There was a time where the Alabama Crimson Tide weren't that great of a football team. There was a time where Dabo Swinney was laughed at when he said he was going to bring success to Clemson after being the wide receivers coach. So, to say that not everybody deserves a voice, that's wrong to me. So we put the microphone out to each of you and whoever wants to take it, and I appreciate that you have. Before I let you go, Jennifer Heppel here, the commissioner of the Patriot League, to look at the full-time members of this league: American, Boston, Bucknell, Colgate, College of the Holy Cross, Lafayette, Lehigh, Loyola University of Maryland, the U.S. Military Academy, as we know, Army West Point, and the U.S. Naval Academy for everything but football, and then the associate members with Fordham in football, Georgetown in football and rowing, Massachusetts Institute of Technology for rowing, and University of Richmond for women's golf. When I read this off and give you those full-time members and the associate members, just what it says to you, especially in having a conference that has the Navy, the Army, and a university known simply as American, that the Patriot League truly is living up to the name that you have.
Yeah, it's a great conference. It's a great conference. It's a great group of schools. Um, and we've spoken philosophically a little bit. And as we touch on current events, I'm probably taking this in a little bit of a very granular direction. But you did mention Army and Navy in all sports except football.
Yeah.
And so I might suggest that this model is potentially a leader in the space that we could envision going to, and that Army and Navy, and probably the relationship that Notre Dame has with the ACC, is like a great model when you look at football and being able to conduct football at a national level. And then a model for other sports that allows a balance between athletics and educational pursuits, just from a travel commitment, from a travel commitment, right? Because football, one game a week, national travel is a lot more palatable and doable. But so I appreciate our model, but I appreciate our schools.
And you said it, and essentially alluding to the reality of conferences having their full membership,
Mm-hmm.
and then having football essentially be structured as its own entity outside of what we see in conferences. So would you say in that case that you would be a proponent of having regional divisions and or conferences that lead into the new college football playoff? I know that within your conference you have the FCS, but looking at the bigger picture, and you mentioning Notre Dame, do we take football that former president of the NCAA, Mark Emmert, said at the beginning of COVID, which was an admission of being a leader of nothing, is how I took it, when he made the comment of, I have no say of what schools and what conferences can or cannot play. We have no control over college football. And I'm paraphrasing, but when he said that, I said, okay, well then who does? And if the college football playoff does, and it's already separated, then do we follow this Patriot League model and the ACC model with Notre Dame, like you said,
right,
and say, here are our conferences, here are the schools within our conferences as full-time members, and then there's a totally separate world where football regionally is going to be put into these pods, and they're going to duke it out from there?
That is interesting. I am not going to presume to solve the format of the CFP.
It is confusing though.
Right.
I think the FCS did it right. That's
Yeah, but even with the FCS, look, we struggle a little bit in that balance of running national championships and providing access. And that's the push and pull. I think that's the push and pull with the CFP as well, it's a national championship, but it's also about providing access, which, by the way, the Olympics aren't just the best swimmers in the world. There's access. The Major League Baseball got a wild card, right? It's about providing access and getting to a champion. So that's the situation in FCS football. We do have a national championship, but we only seed right now the top 8, which means that you do have a little bit often a more regional base to some of those opening round games.
Yeah.
And then you get to what hopefully is a bracket, a bracket with integrity. That's a phrase we always like to use in college athletics, and get to a national champion. But it's not 100% the best teams. It's not 100% a national bracket. It is balanced by the concept of providing access.
And I mean, the FCS, with the amount of spots that it has, it feels better. And like you said, nothing's ever perfect, but it feels like a better situation and hopefully, things can be figured out. But
Yeah.
in closing, the strength of the Patriot League, in your opinion, when we see reclassification, we're seeing Division II schools coming to Division I because Division I conferences need to replenish because they're being taken from Conference USA. We look at, just as an example, the Big 12 takes from the Americans, the American takes from Conference USA, so the Conference USA has to go find some reclassification teams and work some things around. It's been very interesting, but there are certain conferences that have found a way to just lock in together, lock in arms, and withstand these tidal waves. What can you say about the strength of the Patriot League and how your membership is? Do you feel that they have truly locked arms and said, hey, we might not always agree, but this is our league and we're going to take care of it together?
Yeah. That's precisely it. We don't always agree, but everybody's always heard, and everybody still believes that these are institutions around the table, that they are stronger together. Each individual institution is stronger because of its affiliation with the folks around the table. And we do not take that lightly, right? There is no individual person that takes that lightly, whether it's a coach, whether it's an administrator or a president or anybody in the league office. We understand the importance of that, but that's where we gain our strength.
And you're the only conference that figured out a way to get Army and Navy together. So what can you say about having that?
They are, well, I can't personally take credit for that, right? Happened 30 plus years ago.
Yeah.
But, there really is, those are both unique institutions in this country, not just for the Patriot League, but unique. All the service academies are special places, and the opportunity that our students have to travel regularly to West Point and to Annapolis, and to get a sense of what it is like to be a student at a service academy is a really amazing experience.
Coming here from Jennifer Heppel, the leader of the Patriot League, commissioner inside of this Commissioner Corner continuation in our series around the country. Jennifer, we tackled a lot of things, but I appreciate again how candid, how honest, and how open you are about the big picture items as well as the items that are in front of you within your membership in your conference. And I wear this hat proudly because I respect you and I respect the Patriot League. And I definitely appreciate the access that you provide to tell the story here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. As I said, I really appreciate the work you're doing, and always appreciate and enjoy our conversations. So thank you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground. because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And I hope you are having yourselves a great TGIF. If you're not, well, hopefully, we made the morning a little bit better for you, gave you some laughs, gave you some things to think about, some positive energy, and great conversation. That's what we're here for on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And, of course, a big-time thanks to the opportunities that we have courtesy of live feeds on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Podbean at youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com to get to you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time all around the world. And, of course, once our shows go live, you could come and find us in the archives. You can go to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search on any one of these podcasting outlets. The Wake Up Call, you just search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So that's Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, to find us on these outlets. And we appreciate you so very much. Make sure you click follow, download the episodes, save them, and we appreciate everyone who finds our episodes in our archives and all of these podcasting platforms all over the world. Thank you so much. We also want to give a special thanks to our incredible partners at Carvel DeWitt, as well as Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay. A big time thanks to 317 at Montgomery Street. They do their burger of the month, and I just went over there to showcase their newest burger that's never been on the menu. It's called the Taste of Mexico Burger. It's phenomenal. It's so good, I went back and got it the day after. So I had 2 days of the Taste of Mexico Burger. Make sure you check out our videos on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and all social media to see that burger up close before your taste buds go and have it at 317 at Montgomery Street. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins during Dolphin Time on Wednesdays. AD and DT every first and third Wednesday of each month with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, you'll find the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. All of those available to you by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And for more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. As always, Fins Up. And make sure you come out to the Fall Fins Frenzy this weekend on Sunday, September 17th for a women's and men's soccer doubleheader and the ribbon cutting unveiling of the new concession and restroom stand that is right there next to Ted Grant Field. Built there for the first time ever to have a fully fledged concession and restroom opportunity to expand the fan experience and to continue to show what Lemoyne is doing to grow and evolve in this Fin family. So come out and see that this Sunday, September 17th, right here in Syracuse, New York, at Lemoyne College on the Heights. Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Bobcats every single month on Wake Up Call with student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year, bringing to you stories that you won't find anywhere else. The Bobcats call Wake Up Call home, and we appreciate so very much all that Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse is doing. And very much thank the coaches and student athletes of men's and women's soccer, as well as men's and women's basketball, baseball, esports, and to everyone there on campus in the leadership community, as well as all of the teachers, all the faculty and the students themselves. Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, a truly unique experience, and I'm honored that I get to tell the story every single month in the Bobcat Buzz. You can come see your Bobcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe while you're there. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Mondays is Saxon time. On Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, We have the first and third Monday of each month at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, The Presidential Perspective, with President of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, touching on specific topics and always providing wonderful information about the incredible alumni as well as experience of students and student athletes and all of the things Alfred University is doing to continue to challenge themselves as they move ever onward and upward for the Saxons. And on the second and fourth Monday of each month, we have the Saxon Spotlight, spotlighting student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni throughout the year. You can catch all this content by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Saxons, go to gosaxons.com, and as the website tells you, go Saxons. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', the snack capital that you can't help but kind of just, if you ever watched Rescue Rangers on Disney, there's a Monterey Jack where every time he smelled cheese, he'd be lifted into the air and he'd float to it. That's how it is when you smell anything coming from Ma and Pa's with their popcorn, their kettle corn, their cotton candy, their lemonade, their chocolate-dipped Oreos or chocolate-dipped pretzels. The snack capital is at Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. And make sure you head over there to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And if you're out of town, you can go to maandpaspopcorn.com. Big shout out to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week. Go to Carvel DeWitt today to get my DT Dolphin Sunday exclusively there in celebration of your Dolphins. The DT Dolphin available just 5 minutes from campus at Carvel DeWitt. Lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. A big-time shout-out to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay in our conversation today, centered around what God has done, called God Did. Top dog of the week, my mom, centered around our sports card history together, and just her love that she has shown me to love the things I love, support me, and to always want to just be that mom who can do something for her child, no matter how big or how small. And me realizing that they're all big things because they all come from my mom. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, and our Commissioner Corner series continuing to move me around the country, speaking with our leaders in collegiate athletics, and this time around centering our spotlight on the Patriot League and their Commissioner Jennifer Heppel, who I always appreciate her time. So very many thanks to Jennifer Heppel for being a part of the show again. And of course, like I said, go get that DT Dolphin at Carvel DeWitt and get the Cuse McMother, especially on game day this week. Go get the Cuse McMother, my breakfast sandwich at Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. And we'll see you over there soon. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. Find out all of our thoughts on Syracuse football as they head into their first road game of the season at Purdue by checking out Tortora and Alfred on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, X at Call DT, as well as we have a clip running on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT and on Facebook at wakeupcalldt. So check out Tortora and Alfred. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk with you soon. God bless to Lemoyne on a historic day for their concession and new restroom stand that's going to have their ribbon cutting on Sunday, September 17th with the Fall Fins Frenzy. Carvel DeWitt, my longest partner, is going to be out there supporting the event. So come out and get some ice cream. Enjoy the Fall Fins Frenzy. Come see the women's and men's soccer team. It's the first ever Division I game for men's soccer at Lemoyne at home. So make sure you come out and see Callum Donnelly and the student athletes and his staff. Casey Murphy was just on the show today, his first assistant coach. So make sure you come out and see them and support them and celebrate the concession and restroom stand by buying some awesome food and obviously, utilizing the wonderful new facility that has been built for Lemoyne College for students, student athletes, faculty, staff, coaches, and of course, you incredible Fin Frenzy fans. So we love you and we appreciate you. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. Thanks for spending the week with me. And remember to always stay Jimmer.